Our Karnataka Minister K.S. Ishwarappa will be resigning tomorrow. That comes in the midst of a row over the suicide of a contractor who has blamed him for his death. Mr. Ishwarappa, who had been defiant until now, who is until now refusing to step down, has just said to the media that in fact he will be resigning tomorrow. What happened in this case was that a civil contractor named Santosh Patil, he died by suicide on Tuesday this week. The body was found with a suicide note in a lodge in Udupi, and in that suicide note he had named the Karnataka minister Mr. Ishwarappa. He had alleged that the minister and his associates demanded 40% cut money to clear a 4 crore bill in a rural development and Panchayati Raj department. Mr. Ishwarappa is the rural development minister in the Karnataka cabinet. An abetment to suicide FIR was then filed against the minister as well as his associates. He has been named in the FIR as well. More on that big political breaking story now. My colleague Shrija joins us with the very latest. Shrija, Mr. Ishwarappa refusing to resign until now. What seems to have had him change his mind?
Well, we must clearly say that it's a pressure that's coming from the, the central BJP as well as, on the BJP government here in Karnataka as well. But what we are getting to know from our sources within the BJP, they also say that it was just yesterday, there was pressure that was mounting on the BJP government from the BJP High Command asking K.S. Ishwarappa to step down. But however, we are also learning from our sources that K.S. Ishwarappa had sought at least a day's time, and that he did not want to step down immediately because it was just yesterday where we saw protests coming in from especially Congress taking out of the streets, and then we also did witness where, AAP was also protesting, demanding his resignation. So we are hearing from our sources that K.S. Ishwarappa did not want to, he's not someone who wants to give away very soon. So clearly he wanted to take a day's time also, before resigning, and that's exactly what we understand. He came out yesterday in a press conference also announcing the fact that he's not going to step down at all because there's no record against him with respect to giving Santosh Patil especially a work order, or even for that matter, there was no record in terms of the payment record as well. So keeping all this in mind, we see that K.S. Ishwarappa just yesterday, he had announced that he remained defiant, saying that he will not step down. But today, we see that there was pressure that was mounting. There was also, pressure from the media, questions being asked as far as K.S. Ishwarappa is concerned, or even for that matter, Bhatraj Bommai. And then just preceding a few minutes ago, he had announced his resignation as Panchayat Raj Minister.
All right, Shrija, just stay with us. We have Sanket also joining us here in the studio for more on this. And Sanket, the political implications of this really, Mr. Ishwarappa, a very senior minister in the Karnataka cabinet, clearly had to be forced to go.
Well, just a quick background on Mr. Ishwarappa. In the 70s, he was affiliated with the youth wing of the Jan Sangh, the then Jan Sangh, because back then you did not have the Bharatiya Janata Party. He has been a very, very strong RSS man, and among the founding members of the Bharatiya Janata Party in the state of Karnataka, won for the first time in 1989, has lost only once. So politically, in terms of political capital, a very tall leader, very strong, influential leader in his community also. But the point is, the allegation this time around against him was of corruption, and a person died by suicide alleging that this was corruption money being asked by Mr. Ishwarappa and his associates. It became very difficult for the central leadership of the BJP to be able to justify and explain when Prime Minister says na khaunga na khane dunga, where allegations of 40% cut money were there on one of their own ministers. So after the initial defiance, it seems that the central leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party prevailed. Mr. Bommai was told to communicate to Mr. Ishwarappa that he has to resign and there is no other option. But could this be an attempt of a belated damage control by the Bharatiya Janata Party? And I can explain why. Because the Congress, almost second guessing that this will eventually happen, this will be an eventuality, his resignation, has now increased their demand. They say that the FIR against Mr. Ishwarappa right now is in a case of abetment to suicide. Even now, the FIR has nothing to do with corruption. So if he is going on charges of corruption, then where is the FIR on corruption? That is the first point that the Congress party has raised. The second important point is the Contractors Association in Karnataka say that the rot of 40%, even 50 to 60% cut money goes way beyond the Panchayati Raj department which Mr. Ishwarappa heads. So in that case, should there not be a very comprehensive probe on this cut money culture in Karnataka? That's the allegation that has been made by the contractors. So an attempt by the BJP at belated damage control, but will it work?
Right. Sanket, just, to get on to the implications part of it, as you said, the BJP sort of prides itself on this image of zero tolerance for corruption. Is this scandal going to go away in Karnataka with Ishwarappa's resignation? Do you get a sense that it's going to drag on a bit?
No, I don't think so, because as I told you, the Congress has already moved to the next level. You see that the agitation of the Congress talks less about demanding his resignation and more about, number one, his arrest, and number two, a comprehensive probe to find out who else involves or asks for cut money, how deep does the rot run, and what is the entire cut money trail, where all does it go? Does it go to the Chief Minister's office? Does it go higher up? DK Shivkumar has already started saying all these things. You see, it became very important for the BJP to ask for this sacking or go for this sacking, because Karnataka goes to polls in about a month, in about a year from now. And if the Congress party is able to build and mount an entire campaign of a corrupt BJP, that too at a time when the Prime Minister claims that he na khaunga na khane dunga, then this will have devastating consequences in the state of Karnataka. Which is why it seems that Mr. Ishwarappa's resignation is a small casualty, a small price to pay for securing perhaps the government next time, or at least contesting with a chance in the next elections. Will it work or not will be very interesting, because the Contractors Association, a very powerful association in Karnataka, has already gone on record, not secretly, but gone on record to say that cut money rot in Karnataka runs deep, and it runs way beyond the Panchayati Raj department which Mr. Ishwarappa used to head. It runs deep, they say, in the PWD department, irrigation department, BBMP. They just keep naming all these departments. They say that they've got proof, and an independent probe must be launched where they can submit all this proof.
Right, Sanket, thanks very much for that. We're joined by Mr. Veerappa Moily, former Law Minister and Senior Congress Leader, now on the phone line. Mr. Moily, the Congress then not satisfied with this resignation announcement?
It is not the Congress party, which has taken up this issue. It is the entire Contractors Association and the people of Karnataka. They have taken up this issue. There is a total general perception, supported by evidence, that this government indulges in corruption. They don't want to clear any bill, because, for example, we have a project like Ethinole project, where last 1 year, last 1.5 years, they have not paid even a single pie of the contractor's bill, which comes to about 3,000 crores. I'm giving one example. There are several such examples where, they don't want to part, it is not only one time. It is, before calling the bid or tender, they will have to pay the commission. Thereafter, to make the bid to accept it, they accept this one. Then again, clearing the bills they collect. Then again, the final bill they collect. This is rampant, and
okay.
This kind of a corruption we have not seen in my.
We've got Captain Ganesh Karnik, the BJP spokesperson, also on the line with us. Captain Karnik, what Mr. Moily is saying is that there is a bigger rot here, and it's not going to stop with Mr. Ishwarappa's resignation.
Mr. Veerappa is a very senior politician. He has been the Chief Minister of our state. He has been a Central Minister also. As a legislator, when I had raised the question in the House, there was a written answer given to me that there were pending bills worth 1,254 crores for more than 1.5 years during their time, Congress time. So the issues that he is raising, I get a doubt that he speaks of his experience, what has been happening during their time. I'm not denying that, there has been pending bills. Yes, there were pending bills as far as the PWD or contractors bills are concerned. It has been happening all throughout. So when there is an issue of this 40%, which is part of the toolkit operations managed by Congress, Now they are, they have started telling stories about many things which they have been doing during their tenure.
But let's talk
So
about
the
your
issue-
tenure, Captain Karnik. I mean, would you acknowledge that this scandal has hurt the BJP?
No, you asked me to comment on what Mr. Veerapoeli said, so I had to obviously comment on that. What is that you want me to say about this incident?
No, but
What is your question?
do you not acknowledge that this has hurt the BJP? This entire controversy? Mr. Ishwarappa wasn't even agreeing to resign until today.
No, that is exactly. Today, when he made a statement in the press, he said, yes, there has been enough embarrassment for the party. On moral grounds, I'm offering my resignation while requesting the chief ministers to conduct a very thorough inquiry into the entire episode, and I'm very certain that I'll come out of it clean. That's what he has said. He has offered to resign on his own. See, this entire episode of Santosh Patil committing suicide is a very tragic incident. We have sympathies, we have condolences for the sad demise. But unfortunately, there were contractual works which were taken up in a constituency which was held by a Congress lady, number one. Number two, all these works have happened without tender, without the official process of tendering. How can it happen? How can it happen in a Congress MLA's constituency?
Mr. Moily,
without
would you
her
like to
notice?
respond to that?
You can always have a alibi, to avoid this question. This is a direct question. It's a open and shut case, where the last 6 months, the Contract Association submitted memorandum to the Prime Minister of India, Governor in Karnataka, and also the Chief Minister. No action, even, from their High Command or the Prime Minister did not, even raise a voice on that or make an inquiry into it. Because after all, this is only a tip of the iceberg, because, the openly, their contractor who is supposed to be from the BJP party who committed suicide, and his own wife and mother, they also directly said that, Ishwarappa is responsible for the murder. It's not a mere suicide. And, he abetted the murder. This is an open and shut case. And, I think any chief minister with guts, he should have dismissed the minister. This kind of giving a
Well, it does
recitation
appear that
drama.
Mr. Ishwarappa was probably forced to go because he was being defiant about it until now. I have to leave it at that, Mr. Moily and Captain Karnik. Thanks for joining us. Let's listen, in fact, to what Mr. Ishwarappa said about quitting from the cabinet.
आज मैं मुख्यमंत्री से और हमारा बहुत परिवार के नेताओं से सबसे मैं बातचीत किया है। उन सबको कोई भी तकलीफ मत आना, इसलिए मैं आज मुंबई के पास बातचीत किया है। कल शाम वो वापस बेंगलोर आएगा, उस समय में मैं मेरा मंत्री स्थान को इस्तीफा देने के लिए डिसीजन लिया है, उनको भी बोला है। ये इस्तीफा के संदर्भ में मैं अभी राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री बसवराज बोम्मई को बोला है, दया से ये डिटेल इसका इंक्वायरी होना, इसमें कौन इसमें प्रॉब्लम किया है उनको शिक्षा होना। अगर मेरा भी 1% इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम रहे तो मुझे भी शिक्षा होना। ये सभी वो भगवान से मैं पूछा है और मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है ये एपिसोड में मैं कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम के बिना वापस आऊंगा, ये विश्वास मेरा है।